Good day, family. So I've got a bit of news that happened last week. I was going to share it to you earlier. However, I wanted to see how it panned out before I would share it to the world. So on the 13th, Simon from CBC News contacted me. This is the third time that CBC News has contacted me. The first time was back in 2018. They contacted me through the Craft Cannabis Association, which is an association that is connected to all the best gray market growers. And they asked me if I would be the representative because of my professional facility and how I work very professionally with labs to test my products. And they wanted to have their best foot forward. After that interview, I got some kickback from the community. Some people were pissed off that I brought the CBC in here and into Weimar, the town I lived in. Other people were very happy that I spoke. So, you can't make everybody happy. The second time CBC News contacted me was CBC News Marketplace, and we had multiple conversations, and I wish I had recorded those ones. I was still in a bit of a fog from the dark day of the soul I was in at the time. However, after multiple conversation, they realized that I wasn't the guy they wanted to talk to, because really I saw that Marketplace was trying to go and discredit gray market and black market cannabis producers. So I could see very quickly that they were trying to demonize me, and they realized after a few conversations with me that I'm not the guy to try to demonize because I know too much about this plant. So they canceled the interview and didn't come out. So this third time that just happened, the guy was excited when he heard the story. He contacted me. He's like, I want to see what happened since legalization. It's kind of a follow-up. And I told him all the craziness. I told him that I had been raided. I told him that they shut down my website and how even though I've been working with the government, they came after me. And he got all excited. And I'll let the video speak for itself. And he told me, I'll go talk to my producer and then I'll get back to you. And I told him in the interview, I doubt that you'll be getting back to me. And you'll see it in the video. But first I want to call Simon and just follow up and see why he never contacted me back. He did send me a follow-up email like 5 minutes after our conversation saying that he was going to get right back to me as soon as he could contact his producer. And as soon as that, I haven't seen back from him, so I'm going to give him a shout and see what he has to say about the whole situation.
Your call has been forwarded to an automatic voice messaging system.
Hey Simon, this is Patrick from Melatonic. You had contacted me last week about doing a article on what had happened the last few years. I assume that you talked to your producer and things fell through. However, I'd like to just hear what they said and the reasons why they decided not to do the article. Thanks for your time, and please, thanks for your time, and I look forward to talking to you. Have a lovely day. Bye. Well, I'll let you guys know if he contacts me back and if there's any interesting things that come out of that. However, I thought it was just interesting and I would share with you the conversation that I had last week with Simon. And we can ask one question. Is CBC helping us? Well, we know they're funded by the Canadian government, so I assume not. Well, here's the conversation with Simon from CBC.
Cool, awesome. First question, do you speak French?
I don't.
Okay, awesome. My mistake. I just, with your name, I assumed you spoke French. So I have a colleague who has shot a story with you featuring you in 2018, and I'm a video journalist based in Vancouver, and I'm working on a story for the 20th for 420, and I was thinking it could be a really interesting angle to have sort of a follow-up on the situation in the Kootenays. Do you still operate in the Kootenays?
I do, yeah. There's been a lot of very interesting things that have happened the last few years.
Okay, yeah, I bet. So this is what I was hoping for, to see, how the situation has evolved and to sort of reassess. I mean, a few years now after legalization. In terms of availabilities, would you have time to meet with me and have an on-cam interview in the early days next week?
Yeah, it should work, yeah.
Okay, great. And so, just to give me an idea, I did some research, but just to make sure that I get it right, do you only produce CBD products?
I produce different forms of CBD. Like all the products we make are most of the products we make are high in CBD. For example, people with cancer and serious
Hmm.
pain and sleep problems, like the 1-to-1, which is a balance of CBD and
Yeah.
THC. But the generally, I don't put that product onto anybody unless they really need it. I are mostly sell a 20-to-1 CBD, which is we grow that I grow. It's not from hemp.
Interesting. And have you seen a rise in the consumption of CBD products in the last years?
No. Well, what's happened since legalization is they've just deleted me from the internet, and
Mm,
um, so they I yeah, there's been a lot of crazy. I was raided by the police. Um,
okay.
it no charges, but they yeah they destroyed like $30,000 worth of medicine, and
Wow.
so it's been quite everyone thinks it was legalization, but for the people that were trying to provide medicine and the ones that
Mm,
were working with the government, uh,
mhm.
ended up not even they came, I guess they came for me first, really, which is kind of frustrating to see. Like I literally on my CRA it says CBD producer. Like it's not, I'm not hiding what I'm doing, and the fact
Yeah.
that and that's why they couldn't get any charges on me. But the whole point is they just wanted to, you know, destroy me financially, which they mostly have done. So,
Mm.
but that's
And
yeah.
why would you say that happened this way? Did you apply to have legal permits and all that?
Well, there's no, I met up with about five different companies,
Uh-huh.
and they literally didn't have an option in for our company. So when recreational came, there was no direct place for cannabis medicine to come in. And so
Mm.
our us as ourselves, even what it was them, even now it's harder than ever to even find anything medical. So it was kind of what happened is the recreational thing came to save the day as far as legalization did, but it just threw a bunch of medical patients under the bus.
That's really interesting. We don't hear about that at all. And I mean, are there? I'm just trying to understand the reason why things would be made so difficult for you to provide medicine. I mean, did you apply for licenses, or like how does it work in terms of the medical applications of those? Is it, or was that just like given to medical companies? Like how?
Yeah, well, for example, they just recently have changed things a little bit, but it still isn't really set up to help people like myself that are making plant medicines. It's all still recreational. There literally is no avenue besides the huge corporations like Aurora that sell only isolates and distillates, which are not true cannabis medicine. And so they're,
I see. So, if I understand correctly, it's more than a barrier of entry. There is no entry
no,
period,
that's right.
if I
And
understand.
even the
Oh,
recreational, it's like about $1 million or $2 million investment before they'll even give you a license. And then you have to hold like the people that I know I mean, this stuff the people that I saw get licensed, unfortunately, were some of the biggest criminals for years, and they were the first ones somehow that got the licensing. And it really comes down to like having a lot of being really big criminals that have a ton of money.
having
And
a big capital, yeah, to invest up front.
yeah,
So what you're saying is basically there is no legal production of medicinal products, period.
proper medicinal. If you look through
Proper.
Aurora, like you can go to Aurora and they'll sell you tinctures. There's no
Mhm.
suppositories available. in the recreational they have some topical things, but in recreational they have their tinctures, but they're all isolated. And then with cannabis, there's as many as 200 different cannabinoids and terpenes. So when you isolate it away, that's the plant medicine has always worked in its full spectrum form, which is even how it worked for if you know of Charlotte from the Charlotte's Web strain.
Charlotte's Web, yes.
So
yes.
their company went to isolates too because it became a $1 billion company to send around the world, and their product that was working was all full spectrum ethanol extracts with probably 200 different cannabinoids and terpenes in it. And when isolates just don't work for epilepsy. So when you look at something like CBD and you're like, hey, well, I'm just taking it, I don't really feel any effect. It's not like THC where you take it and you know it works. It's like, but then when you take it and you use it with people with serious conditions and you actually know it's doing something or it's not, they know that isolates aren't doing anything for people. So it's like...
And pardon my ignorance, but why would companies choose to go for the isolates?
Well, first of all, I think it would come down to like you can isolate away from all the pesticides. You can they're big labs. They're doing it from byproducts, so it's from trim or from terrible weed that's not selling or whatever. So they send it to the lab and they'll put them through these ginormous machines. So there's no... For a person to properly do this, myself, we grow pesticide free, and our flour is made into oils, and so a lot of these companies, it's the CBD is actually either bought from GW Pharmaceuticals or it's isolated from hemp farmers. So it's just our strain has like 18% CBD in just the flour, when hemp has like 1% CBD in the trichome, which is the crystal itself. But in a giant lab, you can take hectares of this field and isolate it down to this pure white crystal, which is not as medicine as intended.
I see. So it's also kind of a way for them to cut their losses as well.
Cut their losses, and also if there's hectares of CBD growing, so it's not growing for medicinal value, it's for seed and stock. That's what those hemp strains were bred for. But there is CBD available in those, so they can isolate the CBD out of like a crude extract from thousands of pounds of hemp.
Interesting. So if I get it right, what you're saying is that the whole medicinal aspect has been sort of relegated to the back burner, to the sort of an afterthought almost.
That's right. And as I know, I just had tens of thousands of bottles sold and direct connections to clients. I've seen what proper cannabis does to people, and I was one of the only companies doing full spectrum altogether, but the only company doing full spectrum CBD, like the 20-to-1. In the whole time I was in 7 different dispensaries before legalization, and there's no other. They stopped selling isolates because they weren't working, even if they were half the price. And so we've already tested this out with our own community, and we've seen what happens. And when you, I guess this goes into the conspiratorial side of things, but I don't know how healthy that our pharmaceutical companies really want us, or any of those things. And
that's eye-opening. That's surprising. I mean, I would have thought that the legalization would have brought on like more research and more advances in that area. And wow, I'm just surprised. You know what? I think that makes for a really good story. I'll have to talk to my editor to see how we could do these things, because for one, that would be kind of a bit of a trip for me, since I'm based in Vancouver. But I am extremely interested in hearing more from you. Just out of curiosity, do you know of anybody, any medicinal user that would agree to talk with me on camera?
I'm not. I assume that there would be some people. I would ask, but I don't really want to pressure anybody, just because I'm not that kind of.
No.
But when we were rated, we had like 80 letters mailed by our clients, and that was probably why probably another reason why they couldn't charge us is. So we kind of drew upon their kindness to write a letter to the police after they raided us. So
That's fascinating.
so we have between 50 and 80 written letters from clients that were agreed to write a letter about the positive effects and what we did with our plant.
Wow, that's great. Do you have those letters, a physical copy of those letters?
I do, yeah. I do have them all. They're actually
Oh.
yeah. I can print them out. They're electronic at the moment, but yeah.
That's great. That's awesome because I would love to showcase voices from people who have been left behind basically, and it feels like on both sides of the coin, like from the producer's side, from your side, and from medicinal users. I mean, it seems like it's a bit of a catch-22 sort of thing. So I mean, in that regard, I would kind of rely on you to maybe reach out and I guess you just send an email to ask if people are interested, because that way if they're featured in the story, then it gives more credibility and more it brings more impact to the what you would be telling me, like, is that to have like both ends of the same problem basically.
I could ask a few people that come to mind that I know that have been supportive through the whole thing, and we a lot ran away like after it all happened to us. Like that was a big. That was probably one of the biggest hits to our company when they raided us, and because it kind of, I think a lot of customers are just scared of police in general, and they just wanted nothing to do with it, and they probably just
and they just want to get a hold of their medicine too.
Yeah, and it's so like that happened too, and so there's it's an interesting situation, but I'll ask some of my clients, especially the ones that are like close to me, and I know that they're kind of fighters for this cause, and those are the ones that will speak. I know that. The other thing is, I mean, we'll see what CBC has to say about this story, because I know you guys are like government funded, and this may not shine the best light on.
Well, the thing is, I'm not from like I'm on the web team, so this is to me like I try to do human stories, right? I do more feature kind of stories where I have the liberty to go more in depth to like kind of more than scratch the surface here. And I think this is just sort of like a blind spot that's been left off. And so, I mean, without, to me, it's sort of right now like a exploratory sort of, research. But I'm just thinking that, like I said, I'll need to talk to my editor to, make sure that the angle and that we can proceed that way. But to me, it's a fascinating story. And of course, like, when, if we were to proceed, like I would do so, following, a certain procedure to see if you're, to make sure that everybody that's participating is comfortable. We can. There's a possibility to have anonymous interviews as well. If somebody is willing to talk but doesn't want to show their face to have their name, that is absolutely an option.
Yeah, totally.
And,
I'm sure.
I just think it's an important thing that people are forgetting about.
Yeah, it doesn't really affect a lot of people, but these people that it really does affect, it's hard to their voice isn't being heard, and so I want the message out there as much as anything else. But this is the third time I've been contacted by CBC, and the second time was by Marketplace, and we had one of these pre-interviews, and she was all excited, and then she went and talked to her editor, and it got canceled. So I'm just telling you what I've heard before. So
I can't make promises.
Oh, I know. I'm just telling you.
I green light myself. But,
yeah.
But I just think that it's an interesting story, and my department, if I may, is not as big. It's not as much of not as big of a spotlight maybe as Marketplace, but still interesting and could get traction. But like I said, to me, there's in my mind nothing here that seems to be a red flag or anything. of course, like I said, I still need confirmation. But if you don't mind, I mean, I could send you an email. Is melatonicSociety@gmail.com still a good address?
I'll give you my Proton mail address instead. So it's just
Yeah.
melatonic@protonmail.com.
So just a second, I'm just gonna write it down. Melatonic at. Could you go again? Sorry.
Proton mail.
Proton, Proton.
Yeah.
Proton mail.
Yeah. .com.
Protonmail.com. Melatonic@protonmail.com. Awesome. So I'll send you an email just to say hi.
Sure.
And to have you'll have all my info there as well, my phone number. And so if you have any sort of information or people, if you could share my information with people if they have questions, I'd be glad to answer their questions, especially if it can reassure people and make them participate in the story. I'd be happy to answer questions that way. And my editor is sitting a few feet away from me, so I could have an answer pretty quickly about the possibility of doing this.
Sure.
And I'll let you know right away.
Sounds good. And in the what was your name again?
Simon Goyer.
Sorry, I guess I'll get your email on.
Simon, but French.
Oh, okay, awesome. And it's just CBC, but the Quebec CBC.
Yeah, so it's Radio Canada, but I'm based in Vancouver. Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. All right, well, awesome.
It's Canada-wide as well. And also some of my content is picked up by CBC as well. So since most of our interviews are in English anyways, there's a very good chance that it would be picked up. So it could live on like that and reach more people that way.
Awesome. Well,
potentially.
Well, thank you very much for reaching out, and I appreciate it, and I hope things work out that we'll be able to do this. And thank you so much for everything. Have a lovely day.
My pleasure. I mean, thanks for taking the time.
No problem. You too. Have a lovely day.
Awesome.
Bye-bye.
You too. Bye-bye.